If you think about AI as just a chat where you can ask it questions, like you're so behind.
So when people are scared to buy, that's probably when you should buy.
It's going to come down to how you can imagine and conceptualize an idea.
You know, a lot of people are scared of AI taking our jobs. Hey guys, welcome back to the Cloud Podcast. My name is Logan and I've got Nate with me. And today we're going to talk about some really cool topics involving content creation and AI, as well as some cool real estate news that's happening right now. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Nate, how's it going, man?
It's going good. How's your day going? I know you just had surgery. Did you want to talk about that at all, or are we just going to bypass that?
Yeah, I had a surgery done and I'm trying my best to keep standing and keep moving, but yeah, the whole medical industry is tough. I mean, I've been trying to get that appointment scheduled for like a year and a half and had to see some experts at Stanford, but thank God I finally got that done and health is first.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little underrated, just like taking care of yourself. Even for myself, I fall victim or I'm guilty of just not paying the most attention to my health, but glad to hear that you're doing better. And yeah,
It's not going to stop me. Podcasting is my favorite thing to do. I look forward to it. So let's dive in, dude.
yeah, let's talk about some of those recent developments. Just yesterday, I saw ChatGPT or OpenAI released a really, really cool new feature. Did you see it?
I haven't used it, but I've saw different posts on Instagram and showing the capabilities, and it's quite interesting because you know us as content creators and having that background, we're able to create something very specific, being in person and doing things. So I'm not a huge fan of what its capabilities are right now, but when I think of it, I'm like, okay, for a company like Apple or Tesla or Google, you know, when they can just create something out of sort of thin air and it doesn't have to really resemble a product or something that, you know, is something that we have to see in person, you know, I think that those companies will really strive on it. But I'm not the hugest fan for what we market. We market real estate. So how do you use that, you know, to market a specific property? A little difficult, but if you get creative, you know, maybe using it to showcase a brand or tell a story or something, then you know you could probably do something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was my initial thought too, and then I started kind of playing with it a little bit, and I noticed for like brand, like product marketing or product photography, people were able to take just regular photos of products and then insert them into ChatGPT, and then they were making like full on like high quality advertisements with these photos, and kind of goes to show because it ends up like kind of tweaking the lighting and making the product look sharper, so it kind of just goes to show that it could eventually get into a space where people don't need like super high end product photography. And I don't think it really stops there. I think that was a huge like barrier to cross, right? Because at first it was like, oh man, like these AI images like get things wrong, or whatever, doesn't look real. But this is like literally taking products and making some branded content with them. And regarding real estate, I was able to take a image, and it was an empty room, and I told it to stage it with like modern furniture, and it did virtual staging like within a few seconds. And there was also something else. There was like a really dark black walled moody room of a photo. It was like this living room shot, and I was like, all right, let's see if it can do something like this. And I submitted it and told it to make it light and bright. And it changed the complete environment. The wall color went from black to white. It ended up using like warm sunlight to show like the afternoon light. It changed the color of the mat, and I think some of the pillows. And there was some like artwork that was on the wall, and it ended up changing the artwork there on the wall too. So yeah, there was another photo too with Amanda, where she was like sitting across from me, and there was like a drink, and it was right in front of her. And I told her, or I told it to remove the drink and replace it with a plate full of cupcakes and put a birthday candle on it, and it did it. Didn't really look like her, but I mean, it was kind of close.
Did it like animate her, or what did it change on?
No, like it looked like a real person. It just didn't really look exactly like her. But yeah, it's really close. I mean, that all happened within the matter of like what, a year or so. So I mean, like, you can't second guess, I think, just what type of abilities that this thing has. And then Facebook released something too. But what are your thoughts on that?
Dude, I think that's crazy, and I think that, and it depends what industry we're talking about, whether it's real estate or whether it's, let's say, cosmetics, or, what type of product, or what it is. But so are they actually making videos too, or is it just like photography, sort of image processing right now?
They do have Sora, and I believe that you could probably use those images with Sora. I would almost bet and guarantee that you could do that.
Sora is a ChatGPT OpenAI product, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I think Puma just released an ad that was full AI as well. And it was like CGI, 3D modeling. There's just some really crazy stuff I saw in the last 2 days. But Meta today, to clap back a little bit at OpenAI, they ended up releasing something that creates virtual worlds from photos. So they ended up taking the Palace of Fine Arts, and you could submit it, and it created a 360 degrees environment just based upon that photo
From a flat image.
from a flat image. You start looking at generative AI to where is that you could just start being immersed in these AI worlds that are based upon a little bit of factual, I guess, locations. And it looks pretty similar. And it's just, I mean, you start thinking about what's capable with Google, like I wouldn't be surprised because like Google has images of everywhere, right? Like all of these streets. So if you were able to like have Google Earth, I mean, what's stopping people from just like being able to walk around Google Maps on one server and people are immersed in a virtual world? That's what Facebook's doing, but not on a physical world, or the physical like location and mapping.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. I mean, just thinking about like how we're gonna live in the future, and it goes super deep because, a lot of people are scared of AI taking our jobs, but I definitely think that we'll live through a time probably in the next 50 years where people are gonna be working somehow online through like a digital world, like some sort of virtual world. So it's like, yeah, like what I do is I'm, a singer, or I'm a paper boy and I'm delivering things, but it's like taking your time and it's turning it into real money. It's wild. But I didn't know that Facebook is doing that, and it just opens my mind to all of the use cases for that type of technology, right? And a lot of people that are in like the design. So, say if you're building a home, architecture, interior design, landscaping, anything that you actually like can just take a picture of something, it creates a 3D image, and then you go in there and you can edit on top of it and move things, and work with. I mean, I'm not too familiar with CAD, but CAD is pretty well known. It's like the Photoshop. It's the old and proven way for design. But I mean, using all of these new types of renderings and these new types of render tools and software is like, dude, I could just see us like really creating some like magnificent things that you need a really talented mind to create and think of these things, but empowering it by AI. Like, hey, I here's a picture of the front of my house, but I don't like the way it looks. I want it to be Frank Lloyd Wright inspired. And then bam, bam, bam. Like, what? That's like, that takes thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours to be able to develop something like that. So that's insane. I love that. That's really cool.
I just saw a company that is able to take a photo and create 3D objects from it. And they did a front of a house and created a complete 3D project that you can move around in circles and look at from different angles. They used a car. There's a Chinese company that's doing 3D like animations of people. So, like, you could take a photo of somebody and they would be animated in complete 3D model. So yeah, I think you make a good point of just like understanding the use cases of this type of technology because I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago on the podcast was like, if you think about AI as just a chat where you can ask it questions, like you're so behind. And I can't reiterate that enough is because like there's so many applications that are coming down the pipeline, and just being able to understand how to use these things is going to be super beneficial for staying ahead of the curve, because not all of us can create AI engines, and it is a little bit of a barrier entry to still create technology. But shoot, I mean, I've seen too recently people taking there's like people making millions of dollars right now coding or having Claude. It's an Anthropic. It's like OpenAI's ChatGPT, but it's from Anthropic, and it's really good at writing code. And people are making AI games, and it's taking them like an hour or two to kind of like tweak it a little bit, but they're making like these Minecrafty looking blocky games, and it's making it, and it's really crazy that I think it's going to come down to how you can imagine and conceptualize an idea, and then AI is going to be able to execute for you. And if you're not using your mind and you're not creative, I think that it's going to be very difficult be uh, to be staying ahead of the curve of this technology.
As well. And I mean, all the big players are in the game of AI and in the future of the way we're interacting with products, the way we're shopping, the way we're communicating and stuff. And it makes me think of Amazon, right? And Amazon, they have a lot of different products that, have like an augmented reality feature. So you could, be like, how does this look in my room before buying a couch? And, it uses your sensors on your phone to see kind of where it is, and it puts that couch there, right? Or it puts that table there. And it just makes me think like, you know, for people that are into, interior design and people that are, buying things for their home, what's stopping them in the near future from taking a picture of their home, having this sort of 3D model, and just kind of having a different interactive experience where you could have many different things going on at once, and you could just like turn around using some sort of VR or some sort of 360 video player or 360 experience player where you could like use a lot of different elements, different things, finishes, whether it's like flooring or, what does this light fixture look like? And just having, these big companies saying, hey, it's like a standard for us to make a 3D model of our product, and you just start putting it around your house. So it's like it just cuts out the time, and it's sized to fit. You don't have to go shopping and then not get what you want and then bring it home and it's too big. It just doesn't look right. So it's just gonna save us so much more time, and I think we're gonna see people like really using it to the fullest, and people are gonna start living in different ways, and things are gonna look so much cooler.
Yeah, I've always said that, like, I imagine a world almost where we have like our basic things, like a coffee maker or a microwave or a couch or whatever, and it's just like white or something, and people are just going to be accustomed to like wearing glasses or contacts, and they'll see whatever, type of color furniture or whatever it is that you're using in your home. But yeah, it's a crazy world. Envision is a company that is doing something similar to what you were talking about. And they're able to, like, it's almost like imagine going to a property and a location specifically, and they're able to map out this location and the points of it. And they're able to create in 3D like what the types of finishes or what the finished product, like almost like renders of what the home and structure is going to look like. The way that you experience this is you go to your home that's being built, and you hold up your phone, and you're able to look around, and you're basically like living inside of a render. And it really gives people the opportunity to see like the potential of what's being built. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things out there.
It's crazy. I'm excited. There's gonna be a lot of cool developments for us, other people to do some cool things. And I've got it's not necessarily an idea because it's already sort of in the works, but it'd be really cool if there was a program out there that can animate scripts and can make movies out of scripts. And you're like, hey, this is this character, this is what they look like, and this is how they sound, this is what their voice sounds like, this is kind of their persona. And then it creates an AI voice for them that's like really, really human. Sounds good. And then it's like creating some sort of cartoon or another type of TV show using animations. And I think that there's a lot of stories to be told, but it's expensive to tell those stories. Finding the right actors that fit those roles and just filming it and getting everything done it's expensive. So like I've got an idea for creating a sort of movie or a TV show, and it's kind of like the story of my life and like the different things that I've been through. But I'm like, okay, I don't want to be in it. So I was like, well, what can I do? And I'm trying to animate like these characters as pigeons. From time to time, I go back to the script and I write things and I see life a little bit differently. But it's just crazy because, I was talking with my brother this morning about the movie Cars, Pixar, and how many stories and like life lessons and things that are like plugged into these movie scripts, and they're using cars. Like, what? Right? And I bet you these are kind of, yeah, well, definitely people can relate to these stories because they've been through these things, right? And then they use cars in some sort of plot that uses them. So if they were to create some sort of AI tool that makes that really, really easy, dude, the level of entertainment and the things that we watch and consume is going to be insanely cool in the future.
You should look at lumalabs.ai. So if you see Luma AI, there's a few different things you can do, but these are AI generated videos. And this is their tool where it's you just type out like what it is that you want and it creates it. So like look at the detail there of these animals, and yeah, it looks so real. And it's called, I guess, Dream Machine, and you can ideate, visualize, create videos, and share your dreams with the world. They have an API that you can use, and you can just see like the image program that they have. Ray 2 is the video one. And the cost is really not that expensive. I think like upwards of like $100 a month, you could get like a solid like few minutes, maybe even like you could maybe get like 20, 30 minutes of video. Like, and you can choose audio and stuff like that. So you may want to check it out. It's like $100, and I think they have free versions.
Definitely. Yeah, I like to check that out. So, in other news, let's talk about some real estate. We're seeing a lot of things happen, as we say on each episode of the podcast. There's so much news going on in the real estate industry, and we're excited to share some things. So, first off, interest rates have been declining. So, this is a great thing for the housing market. Definitely going to have a lot more buyer activity and, hopefully some sellers too. A lot of sellers have been holding on to their houses because they have these low interest rates. So hopefully we have some incentives. We're looking for a big year of at least, listing media and servicing a lot more listings this year, doing the content and stuff. So let's talk about that, Nate. What do you kind of predict? What do you think is going to happen this year with the real estate market? Do you think we're going to see a bunch of listings?
I know that there's actually a shortage of homes in construction, and I think that there's some government programs that are being worked on right now to offer some type of housing programs for builders to make some more homes. I saw somewhere in Florida that they're offering people 0% down to move into some of these new builds. And some of these companies are also just trying to rent some of these homes that are built, which kind of makes it interesting. It's like there's a shortage, and then there's also homes that people aren't interested in buying. That's probably due to the interest rates being higher. And when people start to see it go down, I feel like naturally you want to get the best deal possible. So you're going to wait and wait and wait till it gets like super low before it starts to go back up. And that's when everyone buys. But I don't know. I think that a great year would be having more listings hit the market, but I just don't know if people are wanting to, one, have a rate of 6.5 when their friends got 3. And also, I don't know if those people who got that 3% are willing to pay for a higher price home and have a 6.5% interest rate. So I think that there's a lot of kind of push pull happening here. And the lack of homes that are on the market could also be a very problematic situation. So that's kind of my thoughts on the year so far.
I'm going to give a little tip to real estate agents. And right now, a lot of homes that are coming to the market are divorce sales and probate or death in the family sales. So if you're not selling probate, and if you're not, be friends with probate attorneys and be friends with divorce attorneys. Be friends with those people because they have a lot of business right now as things are slow. But in other news, when you do think about these new programs of like these developments talking about 0% down and these things, I like to see how it pans out because as things are right now, they might come up with like a temporary solution. And then let's say if that's a 30-year loan or whatever, and let's say you're 10 years into it and things change in 5 to 10 years, are you going to be stuck with this type of program that you're originally sold on? Because things have been done traditionally for a long time. How do you create something new that works like for the long term and creating something that people love? I could definitely see as like if you're putting minimum down, like for instance, if you're not putting more than 20 to 25% down, you have to pay mortgage insurance, and mortgage insurance is so freaking expensive. It's like a few $100 a month for, a $500,000 home. So a lot of people are incentivized for putting more down. That essentially ensures the bank or the lender that if you default, that they can pay, that debt that you owe them, those mortgage payments. So if you move into a house with 0% down, what is that going to look like? It might be much more expensive. So, I think the thing to really think about is these people that are seeking home ownership, that are wanting to be buyers, what's holding them back? Is it the affordability of the monthly payment, or is it the affordability of the down payment to actually buy a home? Right? So those are the two things that I think about. And when you think of something like, hey, let's say the median income in a specific area is, let's say, $60,000 and the average home price is $600,000. Well, you just can't afford that home just based on how much money you make. So what type of product can they create to now make it affordable? Well, we might see a 40-year loan instead of a 30, right? And that's going to change because now people are thinking, and retirement has just been getting later in life for many people. I think, back in the day, retirement was like 55, 60, and now it's like people are working until 70. So I think a lot of things are changing, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see, these 40-year mortgages gain popularity. And then for those that can afford it but just don't have the savings, there probably is going to be a higher monthly payment or something like a premium on the mortgage insurance, which is going to be nuts. It's going to be so expensive. But I mean, if it's a solution and it gets people housed and it stimulates the market, I could see something like that happening.
Yeah, I think too, you have to look at our generation. And if you look at the American dream of what the American dream was, it was having a solid income, it was getting married, it was buying a home, having kids, and you're able to afford this lifestyle. But if you look at the way that things are happening now is things got way more expensive. People aren't getting married as fast as they used to. And then there's a lot of debt that is on the table for our generation. And when you are trying to buy a home, you have to look at the debt to income ratio. And if you're not making a whole lot of money and you have high debt, if you have $100,000 six-figure job and you have a lot of debt, it doesn't matter that you should be able to afford a 300 or $300,000 to $400,000 home. You're going to be stuck around having to move to some other place that has homes for $100,000, which is really unrealistic. And it's probably not going to happen. So if you're looking at some of those other indicators as well, I think it kind of shows you the answer to why there's not a lot of people buying right now. It's because over these last 5 years, our generation may have gotten a deal, but I'm willing to bet that majority didn't. And COVID hit and they have been in debt and they don't have maybe the job that they want, or whatever it is that they financial situation that they're in is not allowing them to have a high payment with these high interest rates, let alone these high prices. So I think it's a little bit of a funky situation. I think there's a lot of things that are coming into place, and I think that it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
For sure. I mean, it's funny because it's not black and white. It's I think the American dream has that picture, and it's this idea, and it still exists. It's just becoming harder and harder to achieve. People aren't making as much as things are going up in price, and I think we have a generation ahead of us of the baby boomers that in due time we're going to start losing them. So we're going to see different things, and I'd be curious to see what percentage of baby boomers will their house to their kids, and the kids actually like move in and keep the house, right? Versus rent it or versus sell it, right? But definitely there's going to be a huge, huge thing, a transfer in home ownership and wealth when that happens. So it's interesting, but there's just so much going on. It's like the price of food is going up, and it's like now we have accessibility to the world, and we see all these cool vacations that people go on. So we want to go on vacations, and people are getting married later in life than they did back then. And there's just so many different things going on to say like, yeah, people aren't buying houses because this is just like, whoa, it's crazy, but it's definitely the dream. And if you're a viewer of this and you're a real estate agent, that's one thing. I hope you can help many, many people achieve the American dream. And if you're a viewer that's not a real estate agent but interested in what we have to say, I hope you can do it as well. And I hope you can work with a client like one of ours at Clout, because they know what's up.
I agree. I think the last thing on that too is I saw that there's a lot of delinquent payments happening on some of these homes. And I think a big problem was like 3 or 4 years ago, you had realtors who were like, just date the rate and buy the house. And just like all of these things where it was like, don't worry about it now. Like it's going to get better. And when historically, like a 6.5% is actually not totally bad, right? We were just like blessed with like this crazy super low rate that allowed people to get into homes. But, as it started to go back up and home prices stayed up, it makes people just stranded. So I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of started to see the repercussions of people trying to date the rate and just marry the house. And I think that what happened with 2008 is the crisis where people took on these loans where they weren't able to pay them. And they were giving these loans out and they knew darn well that these people wouldn't be able to pay them, but they were making money. And I could see something like that possibly happening and bringing the prices down and scaring people a little bit.
I think you make a really good point, though. Date the rate, buy the home. And you have to think of when you're investing in a home, investing in stocks, when you're just investing in general, you have to think like a contrarian. And this is going against the herd. So when people are scared to buy, that's probably when you should buy. And most people are scared because of the interest rates. But, when the interest rates do go down like they are now, everyone's running to buy a home. And it's going to be a lot more competitive. So when you're asking for a seller credit, or you're asking for, to buy a home for the list price, and you fall in love with a home, you're going to get outbid. So when people aren't buying, that's when you have the ability to choose the home you fall in love with, to do these things, and you can always refinance later. So it's a good way to think of it in another way of date the rate, marry the home.
My question is this though, is like, let's zoom out a little bit. And if we were to look at rents, rent prices have stayed relatively flat and home prices have increased. Rates have increased. So how many investors are coming to the market and wanting to buy property? I mean, if you have a home price that's a lot higher, I mean, can you even offset the mortgage price with the amount of rent that you could get in when rent hasn't rised either? And I just feel like, you get to a point where you see some of these large companies offloading all of the rentals they bought. And, you start to see also like luxury real estate or apartment developments popping up everywhere because the future really isn't having a nice home in a backyard. It's having a really cool clubhouse with a humongous pool and a way to use a bunch of different grills and whatever it may be in a pop-in metropolitan city. And that is kind of like one whole lifestyle versus this suburbia kind of idea now. So I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical about the housing market myself as it stands right now. I think that some people got in a little over their heads. I think that there's some people that don't really want to get into the game just for personal reasons of, like I mentioned, these luxury apartment type complexes popping up everywhere. I just see that the marriage rate isn't happening as fast as it used to, so people can't use dual income to get a nicer home for a higher price. So I don't know, we'll see. A little bit skeptical, so I'm gonna take that stance. Why don't we talk about switch gears and talk about Ryan Serhant and his expansion to a place that really has kind of cheaper real estate options versus Manhattan, where he is used to selling. We have a story here talking about Sirhan expanding to Arizona, the Sun Belt area of the U.S. And I'm kind of interested to know why. What are your thoughts and your views on that move?
Well, I don't know exactly why he went there, but I guarantee it's going to be a great move. It's a booming market, and a lot of people love Arizona, especially older people. And older people have money, they have retirement, and a lot of people are moving there. And it's just the data shows it's growing. But why I think he'll find success there, other than just it being a booming market, is because he's disrupting the industry and he's doing things so crazy different. And I mean, when you put him side by side to let's say a Century 21 or one of these more traditional brokerages, the things that Sirhan offers his team to succeed and for them to really win. I mean, they got tons of tools. I mean, from their own in-house built CRM to the marketing knowledge and insights and support team that helps these agents succeed. I mean, I feel like as soon as that move happens, and I'm not sure if it actually happened already or if it was just an announcement, but once they open doors, people are going to flock over to working with him. And it's just because of the brand and how they do business and how they operate. It's just so different. And when I think of Sirhan, I don't think of an average agent. I think of a stellar agent or an agent that has so much potential and is super hungry. And that's like the type of culture that he's manifested with his brands. So I think it's going to be a huge success, and I'm really excited to see kind of how it all pans out. And I feel like that's just going to be one step in the right direction, and we'll see them pop up in other areas as well, luxury markets, high pricing markets, because I don't think he's aiming to be the biggest brokerage. I'm thinking he's aiming to be the best brokerage. And the best comes with a heftier price, so he's probably going to focus more so on like the luxury sector and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. I think that if I were to think about Arizona and just the home prices there and the type of homes on the market, and compare it to Manhattan and a place like Los Angeles, I would bet that he's looking to clean up shop with the majority home buyer. The majority home buyer is somebody who is not buying your 10 or $50 million penthouse. There's probably far and few penthouses or luxury properties for that price that he's used to selling, and especially in a place like Arizona. So when you go into a place that is growing rapidly and you're up against your neighborhood realtor who doesn't have the brand like Sirhan, I think that you're probably gonna clean up shop if you're Ryan Serhant, because you're going to just outpace everybody who does business traditionally in a growing market. And I think that really kind of shines the light on why somebody would want to go to a place like that, or like even like Boise, who has a big name, because there's nobody in those markets that's just cleaning up shop, that are like bi-coastal, right? So if you were to look at it from that lens, I think that he's probably going to implement in systems. He's going to have his brand name, and he's going to have a way of doing business in these markets that are used to doing business traditionally, and he's going to be a huge success.
Yeah, he's talking about doing 500 million a year in sales. That's crazy. It's a lot of homes, but no, I'm excited to see what he does, and excited to see the team that he grows. And I believe Sirhan Studios, which is their creative department, will have these different services and marketing tools for all of these agents to grow their business and brand. So I'm excited to see what kind of stuff they do, and as they scale, how the level of media kind of turns out, because as you grow, you start to lose quality. So I like to see kind of what he does and see how things pan out.
Yeah, shout out to my boy Pablo over there in Manhattan. He moved over from Los Angeles, and we worked together on a couple projects, and he's crushing it with Sirhan and their team. And he does a lot of work with the agents on the TV show, Selling Manhattan, and selling or owning Manhattan. And I can't remember the name of the show. It's slipping my mind now. And yeah, so he's crushing it out there, and it's cool to see him. He was working over with the agency and all the top agents there, and now he's grown his business over there in New York. So shout out Pablo, proud of you, and awesome to see you doing big things, man. You're definitely a great asset to these realtors. So
That's awesome. Hey guys, thanks for joining us, and make sure to listen to us on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube. We have our video style podcast on YouTube. So let us know what you think, and if you'd like us to talk about anything specific, we're open to feedback. And thanks again.